See if it's charging.
We'll call our meeting to order. First item is roll call. Diane?
Mayor Skoog,
Present.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Grossman,
I'm here.
Councilmember Mallory,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall is absent this evening, Councilmember Nye,
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Next, number 3, comments, communications. Council, got any comments, communications? No? No. I think Brian would like to make a quick comment.
I will make a very quick comment. I can't vouch for the other two. Tonight, I wanted to quickly introduce 2 of our newest members of the Parks and Recreation staff. We have tonight with us, conducting introductions, will be Ms. Hope Hooper, our Special Events and Arts Coordinator, and then also Mr. Brady Peck, our Aquatics and Ice Coordinator. So if I can, I'll invite them up, let them introduce themselves, and if you have any questions.
Ladies first. You're going to pull the microphone down just a little. There you go.
Sorry about that. So I moved to the area from Ohio in July. I have my undergraduate degree in fine arts. After receiving that, I went to Italy for a while. I was lucky enough to get to do a show in Tuscany. I kind of led that event, which got me more interested in doing events for towns. And then after coming back, I got my master's degree in business with a focus in marketing, which I'm very much looking forward to using in my new position. I'm looking forward to working with all of you and the town and growing arts in the community.
Good, thank you, and
Welcome.
congratulations. Welcome from Ohio.
My name is Brady Peck. I just moved here from Michigan. I understand LT's also from Michigan. And I don't know if you're a Sparty or a Wolverine, so I'll leave that one alone for now.
Go blue.
Go blue, very good.
Bear down.
My undergraduate is from
Go
Central
Bears.
Michigan University in Recreation, Parks, and Leisure Services with a community recreation focus. I also received my Certified Parks and Recreation Professional Certificate when I was at school there. Prior to coming here, I worked for the Ann Arbor Public Schools running their summer camp program where we had over 100 summer camps. So that was a year-round job, just trying to get ready for the summer and holding everything together throughout the summer program. I'm excited to come here. I have my CPO, Certified Pool Operator Certificate, and I've played hockey for years, so I'm looking forward to running the ice and aquatics programs here in town.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You should also know that the chief of police there is having an absolute fit. You didn't know he was also from Michigan.
All right, as long as we're on the same team here.
We're getting populated by people from Michigan.
Yeah, the weather is a little bit.
All 2
more
of you are
desirable.
populating it.
Okay, the Michigan influx quota has been met.
It's been met.
Welcome to both of you. We're so excited to have these positions filled, but to have them filled with exceptional qualifications is especially rewarding for us. Welcome and thank you both.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations. Best wishes to you both, and thank you for joining us. Any other comments, anyone? If not, we'll go on to matters listed on the consent agenda. These are considered to be routine by the town council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Includes the approval of destruction of records. Now, these records, by the way, are from the prosecuting attorney and are court records only. And we did get 4 requests regarding these, but there are none of them pertaining to annexation.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I'm sorry.
You know, I might as well go ahead and address that. If you want to go ahead and move that to the regular agenda so that I can talk about it, that might be wise.
Okay, let me read the other 2 and we'll see if council desires. The next item is approval of the adoption of the Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records Retention Schedule. Anyone care to pull an item, or do you want to?
I'll make a motion to remove item A from the consent agenda.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, then let's take B and see if you approve of that one. Next. That's the only other item.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the one item removed.
Okay, we have a
I'll
motion
second.
and a second. Diane, you want to take the roll call or the vote call?
Mayor Skoog?
Yes.
This time, anyway.
Mayor, it's unanimous. Everybody else voted electronically. I'll include you at the next vote.
So is it unanimous?
Unanimous
Okay, great.
passage.
Okay, that'd be pulling item number A. Any comments? Ivan, you had some comments?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I appreciate you being willing to do that. You know, normally this is pretty routine. We go through the destruction process of records, paper records, a couple of times a year. By law, all Arizona cities and towns are required to follow state retention schedules, and those schedules basically tell us that we can't keep paper records forever and keep buying more and more storage areas in order to take care of them. We've got to follow the retention periods, and when the retention periods have run, then the clerk is required to box those up and list them and bring them to you and get your approval to go destroy them. And the way she does it is she sends them to a pulping facility. I think it's in Flagstaff, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And so what she'll do is she'll take her good boxes and she'll take things out of her good boxes and put them in these old junky boxes of all kinds of different sizes. And she this time has filled about 300 of those, maybe more, that she's hoping to be able to take down in pulp so that she'll have more room there in her area. And like I say, it's generally a routine process. There are some exceptions to the retention rules, and those exceptions apply to things like litigation holds and other situations where you look at a record, and even though it maybe after 3 years or 5 years needs to be destroyed, you keep it for a period of time because you're still using it, you're working on it. The issue apparently here was raised because some folks saw that there were actually 4 records that were coming from the legal department, 4 boxes of records. 2 of those boxes were the ones you mentioned, Mayor, the magistrate court records. Our prosecutor does hundreds and thousands of cases a year that he handles, misdemeanor cases. And those get handled by the police department and the magistrate court. And those get kept for a number of years in boxes. And do we create a lot of those. And they need to be destroyed on a routine basis or we would simply run out of room. So those are 2 of the ones that are there. It also happens, you may remember that in my evaluation, one of the things that I set as a goal and have set for the last few years is to get our legal department civil records cleaned up a little bit and reorganized. And you know, I've been working on that now for several years. And in the process of doing that, we came up with 2 boxes of various subjects. Agreements, leases, audit opinions, notices of bankruptcy, code enforcement things, some of the things related to the town code history, some of our development agreements, some things related to elections, and some files related to human resources. And when we sat down and went through these were all bits and pieces of things that were no longer needed, and frankly, many of them wouldn't have been considered records by some. They were copies and things like that. And so there ended up being 2 boxes full of that. The folks who have been concerned and who sent you an email at the last minute this afternoon, there were 3 of them. They're all from the Prescott Country Club, and they have been concerned, as you know, they've come at different times over the last couple of years about annexation records. And they've been concerned about the annexation action that was taken back in 2014 for the Tapadero District. And so, being vigilant, they were concerned that perhaps those records might be included in these 2 boxes. And I sent them an email this afternoon because they copied me on their email, assuring them that those records are not in those boxes. Those records, we have very few of them actually in the legal department. Most of those records are down in the community development office. And those records are still there. In fact, back in 2014, there were folks who made public records requests to see those records. And they're still there. So I just wanted folks to understand that those records, which those three individuals were concerned about, were not included in the two boxes that you're voting on tonight. We generally, I guess, we're very cautious about following these statutory requirements because you don't want to destroy things that are still useful, but you also don't want to keep things forever and end up not having the space or the money to take care of records. And so that's why this process is generally so routine. Do you have any questions?
Questions, anyone? Comments? Let's start with you, Rick.
No comment.
Laura?
That clears it up.
It's good that we were able to prove transparency and share the facts. Someone vigilant has the right to ask the questions they asked,
Right.
and now we have a good, appropriate answer.
Marty?
It's good to know that people are actually paying attention to what's going on at the council. So, and I'm also glad that we were able to clear it up so well. Thank you.
Mary?
No, I'm none at all, Mayor.
Mike?
No, I agree with the comments of the council. I think we've been very open and tried to be transparent, and this is just, I think, a mundane process we have to go through.
Good.
So we appreciate the comments and the explanation.
You bet. And just for absolute clarity, because Diane would have to jump in, she had a situation come up in this process where she lost her person who normally does all of this. So she had a volunteer, and a volunteer took one of our criminal records boxes, which should have waited another 2 years before it got put into all that stuff, but it ended up getting in all those 300-something boxes, and there's no way to find them. There's no way to find the bits and pieces wherever they ended up in all of those. It would take days for that person to go through and try to find those. So we've gone ahead, and those records are not needed. They're, again, dealing with criminal cases, and so they ended up being in this group of two that you're approving tonight. And so I just wanted you to know that also happened and had to be taken care of in that way, because there's no way to find those now. And once the new person comes on, I'm sure they'll be very careful that they always make sure that they pull the correct box.
It sounds like that doesn't pertain to annexation.
It doesn't pertain to any of the concerns that were raised today.
Okay,
Just wanted you to know that in terms of absolute, complete disclosure.
Good, thank you. Based on that comment, any other comments, commotions, motions, demotions, promotions? Mike?
Yeah, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the destruction of records as submitted to the council.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that.
We have the motion and a second. Would you sit to vote, Diane?
Mayor Skoog, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
That is unanimous.
That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, then we'll move on to number 5. New business for comment, review, action, discussion about the proposed increase in the mayor and council compensation. Any comments, anyone? Larry?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I'd been asked to bring this issue to you tonight for discussion. No action is intended. And then if you direct staff, we would put this on the agenda for our next council meeting. As you will see in the RFCA, the last time there was any adjustment in compensation for mayor and council was in 2007. And we have a history over the years of revisiting this issue every 5 to 10 years, and then indexing that with other communities. And so I put that out for your consideration. I did receive a phone call today from Councilmember Stephen Marshall, who is unable to be with us this evening, and he wanted me to share with you that he was opposed, I believe adamantly is the word used, adamantly opposed to this particular action, and so I committed to sharing that with you.
Okay. Let's start with you, Mike. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I really don't have a lot of background on how we've done this in the past, and so I'm kind of neutral at this point. I feel as though what I have as far as a stipend from the town is sufficient for me to make my expenses. And obviously, I may not have all the committee assignments that some of our fellow council members have that require more time, effort, gas, and other costs incurred. And so right now I'm just going to listen and see what the other council members have to say.
Okay, Laura?
It's always awkward. However, I use my own car for much. I never, ever, ever, unless I completely go to Phoenix or Tucson or someplace like that, ever turn anything in. I think in 14 years, twice I've turned something in. There's a secondary issue that people wouldn't necessarily be aware of. That happens to all of us here. We get invitations to very vital organizations throughout the community that it would be appropriate for us to participate in. And the cost of those range from anything to $50 to $125. And I kept track a couple of months ago, and then I did not keep the invitations. That 1 month was $350 just to go to all of those events. And the town does not compensate for that, nor should they. That we aren't asking that, we aren't expecting that. But I do think it's logical that we have wear and tear on our automobiles, the increasing costs of gasoline, and I have the responsibilities where I really have to travel a lot. And so for me, I will tell you, it's helpful and it's a blessing. There's one more piece. I want to make sure that we take such beneficial care of our current mayor and our current council members, so in the future, people will want to run to fill these seats, and they won't have to be held back because financially they couldn't consider it.
Marty?
Yeah, similar to what Laura Lee has said, there are expenses that a lot of the council members incur. There are, besides being invited to dinners, I mean, there's a dinner coming up for the Boys and Girls Club. It's $150 a ticket. Habitat for Humanity is an $85 ticket, and all of those are coming up very soon. And there are other events that do come up that we are asked to participate in. And then in addition to that, there are seminars that we are invited to attend down in Phoenix or Tucson or up in Flagstaff. And so it's usually a 2 or 3 day event, which means, again, gas, hotel, meals, plus the registration and participation fee. And some of these events are, just to register is, $300-400, and some of us do attend those because of the topic and because of the committees that we are assigned to, and it's pertinent to attend for that. So, there are many events where, it's not a cheap event. It's not something you could just, push aside and say, yeah, it's not a big deal. Some of them are a big deal, and they are important, and they help us to be better council members. So, and it's been 9 years since any of the raises have been done. And as Laura Lee said, if the compensation is there, more people will run, Not that I'm totally in favor of that, but it's a good thing to have many people run who are qualified and willing to do it, and sometimes it's the cost of the time and effort, that holds them back. So if we could get quality people running for office, the town benefits. Thank you.
Good. Mary?
Mayor, I am kind of unfamiliar also with how this process has gone on in our town. So I'm just kind of listening to what everybody is saying here. And but I do have to say that I do understand what you're saying in regards to all the events. Most of the events I do not go to in regards to the fact of the expense. And the other thing I want to say about the events that we're talking about here, these are all nonprofit. So when you're talking about the Boys and Girls Club or the Habitat for Humanity and many, many others, they all are nonprofit events. And the reason that they do these dinners is so that it will help their foundation and what they're trying to do for the communities and for people who have needs that can't make those needs on their own and need some help. So anyway, all of the organizations that we're talking about here are very good, and they reach out to many people in the whole community. But I, at this time, Mayor, I'd just like to hear more of the familiar and how this goes.
Good.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
About this point, I feel like the man standing on the corner with a tin cup full of pencils. It's really a hard thing to come before people looking for a raise. But the things that have been mentioned about the events that we do, I've been here now for 8 years, and in that 8 years, I've never turned in an expense account. I don't feel it's necessary. I feel that the expenses that I incur are part of the cost of doing business and part of my cost of being part of this town council. And I've always felt that way. And I attend as many events as I can afford to do based on the amount of money that I'm given. And sometimes we do run short. And I can see where an increase can help, because there are a lot of times when it just doesn't make it. I can understand how someone who, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not. Those of us that spend a lot of time on town business in different areas of the state and do a lot of traveling, it costs a lot of money. I believe that this is not an outrageous amount of money, the amount that we're talking about. So I think it's well deserved, and I think it should happen. We started talking about it originally in April of 2015 when the town manager presented the 5-year plan, and it was brought up then. And we basically at that point decided that it wasn't time to do that, and we chose not to. And here we are almost 2 years later now, year and a half later. And I think now is the time. It's been a long time. Certainly not since I've been on council. So
2007. I think I am the only one on the council that I've been on about 23 years. The first 5 years, there was no compensation. And I can remember when the subject was brought up, somebody in the audience came to the lectern, and he says, probably be a good thing. He says, maybe now we'll get some good council people. But over the years, and I remember Bob Edwards, he's deceased now, but we, in 2007 when we discussed it, he says, if we don't do it, I can't afford to stay on. It does incur a lot of cost. I had a client who, when he heard I was mayor, he says, you have to be rich to be a council or mayor, don't you? Well, I'm not rich, but we do try to cover our expenses. Mary, got a comment?
Oh, no, sir. I'm listening.
Oh, Larry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, one thing that was touched on by several of you, and I just want to say it very plainly. Many, if not most, council people around the state are reimbursed for mileage. We do not do that in the town of Prescott Valley. Secondarily, many communities have an individual budget for council members to do exactly what you're talking about, which is to attend nonprofit fundraisers and things like that. We do not have such an account that is set up for each of you to allocate over or to use over the course of the year. So I just want to point that out.
Okay, any other comments? It says this is not for this is for discussion only, and the ordinance will need to be an emergency measure if it is to be effective. So I guess the answer would be bring it back. Everybody agree to that? Okay, we'll move on then to B, consideration of reappointing Arda Rutherford to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Vice Mayor? Or Laura?
Yeah, I'm going to let Laura to do that. I'm sorry. It'll be just a moment.
On October 31st, 2016, Arda Rutherford's term on the Planning and Zoning Commission will come due for renewal. She submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Arda Rutherford was first appointed for a partial term on this board on October 23rd, 2014, and this reappointment will be her second consecutive term. We are delighted that Arda is willing to continue to serve. And although she is not here tonight, we definitely need to bring it to a vote.
Good. Mary, any comments?
She's just an amazing lady. I just love her. She's just amazing. So I just am excited for her to continue on.
Good. Rick?
No comment, but I'd be certainly glad to make a motion.
Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay, motion to reappoint Arda Rutherford to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term ending October 31st, 2019 by electronic and voice vote.
I'll second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, would you do the vote, Diane?
Mayor
Mine will be
Skoog?
yes.
Yes. Councilmember Grossman, you out?
Yes.
Just going to say
Okay.
this is working well.
It's unanimous, Mayor, to vote.
Okay, great. And
Her
she's
in.
not here. We want to congratulate her and thank her for her service. Just a great lady. Okay, now we're going to have a very challenging one. C, consideration of reappointing John Yater to Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, I'll take this one, Mayor.
Rick?
On October 31st, 2016, John Yater's term on the Planning and Zoning Commission will come due for renewal. He submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. He was first appointed to a partial term on this board on March 28th, 2013, and this reappointment will be his third consecutive term. Myself, Council members Mary Mallory and Laura Lee Nye are recommending reappointment of John Yater for a term with a renewal date of October 31st, 2019. And since John is in the audience, we'd ask him to come forward, please,
Come on up, John.
and speak on your behalf.
Defend yourself, John.
Yeah, I was going to say. Anyway, thank you again. I want to revert back to 1997 and 98 when I was selected to be a councilman. When I was selected, I was just happy to be selected. I didn't even realize we got paid until after he told me. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool, you know. Then when my business told me I couldn't do that anymore, and also I was chairman of planning and zoning. That was the first round, and where I was working, they didn't want me to do that anymore. I was pretty disturbed because I'm kind of a community guy, you know, as you all know. So it's really good to be back You know, as soon as I retired, I got the call from Richard, and I came right back, and I'm on it again. I think about the past 4 or 5 months, we've become a more cohesive group than ever. I think what we're doing today, we don't have a meeting in November, but what we're doing today with the different experiences that we have within our group, within our commission, we all just are melding together. You know, all we have to do is look at each other. We absorb the information. We have, you know, the next commissioner, he gets into the minutia a little bit more, and then we kind of surround him, you know, and then we just kind of go through it, and we're very happy at this point for what we're doing, and I think that's good for the community. It's really good for you guys because you guys are very open to discussing anything, and we're willing to talk about anything ourselves. So very happy. I'm very happy to be reappointed.
Good, thank you, John. Laura?
I would love to make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to reappoint John Yater to the Planning and Zoning Commission to a term with a renewal date of October 31st, 2019 by electronic and voice vote. And John, you're a blessing to us. Thank you humbly.
I'll second that, Mayor.
And we did get a second, John, believe it or not. Okay. Dan, you want to call the vote?
Mayor Skoog, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
No. It is unanimous, Mayor.
It is. Can you believe that, John? Congratulations and thank you for your service. You don't know how much we rely on Commission's work, so we appreciate that. Okay, we move on to C, consideration of reappointing Rick Dusky to the P&Z.
Okay, Mayor, I'll take that. On October 31st, 2016, Rick Dusky's term on the Planning and Zoning Commission will come due for renewal. He submitted the renewal application letter choosing to be reappointed. Rick Dusky was first appointed to a partial term on this board June 12, 2008, and this reappointment will be his 4th consecutive term. Myself, Council members Mary Mallory and Laura Lee Nye are recommending the reappointment of Rick Dusky for a term with a renewal date of October 31st, 2019.
Good. Mary?
Oh, you know what? Another amazing person in our community. He's always right there, and I think that Mr. Yater was just talking about the great group that they have and how they all work together. So I look forward to Mr. Dusky continuing on.
Laura?
Mr. Dusky serves with a lot of tenacity and minutia, but he's a citizen that is having to go the extra mile to serve, and I want to honor him for that. It's so highly respected. So if it's okay, I'll make a motion.
I think we're ready. He isn't here tonight, but
Motion to reappoint Rick Dusky to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term with renewal date of October 31st, 2019 by electronic and voice vote.
And I'll second that.
okay, with a motion and a second. Diane? And I definitely yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Is that right?
That's unanimous, Mayor.
The what?
Unanimous.
Unanimous, good. And I understand Mike wants to make a comment.
Yeah, I just thought I'd make a comment. I think the addition of Arda, John, and Rick, they are a cohesive group. We've seen them in action, and we do appreciate their willingness to continue. And I agree. I think there's some synergy there, and I think all the members have a unique background they bring to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I think as time goes on, that commission is going to become more of a focal point in terms of the growth of our community. And again, we rely on your expertise to help us in making that final decision. So I look forward to another great round, I think, of Planning and Zoning Commission decisions that we'll be reviewing, I'm sure, very soon. A couple I come to mind. So congratulations.
Mary, you had a
Thank
comment?
you, John.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you're out there watching, Rick, we just really appreciate you, and even through all your health issues, you're such a devoted community member. So God bless you and thank you, and we look forward to several more years.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, we move on to E, consideration of approving the purchase of playground equipment for Bob Edwards Park from Play It Safe Playgrounds and via Mojave contract number 14X-PLAY-0220, quote number 3828 in the amount of $59,917.09. And I noticed there's quite a difference in the prices on these things, Brian. Any comments?
Yes, sir. Included in this fiscal year for the Bob Edwards Park Playground Development is a playground unit. Back on October 11th, staff presented 7 ADA-compliant playground options for the Commission's review and ultimate recommendation. Each of the proposals was a mix of traditional and non-traditional play for ages between the ages of 2 and 12. And the Commission itself is recommending option 1, which is displayed for your review this evening, from Play It Safe Playgrounds in the amount of $59,917.09. This will be inclusive of professional installation and the required safety surfacing for that playground. With your approval, staff will create a construction schedule with that vendor, and our anticipated delivery and install date is prior to Thanksgiving.
Wonderful. Questions? Comments? Laura?
I just want to say this is joyful.
Very much so.
We're so grateful to be in this point. And I really I have to say, I was looking very carefully and reading. Those kids who cross the street are going to go bonkers.
Without a doubt. And hopefully, as they're coming home from the high school and the middle school, they'll join in as well.
Thing. Yeah. Well done.
Marty, you had a comment?
Nope, but if we're ready, I'll make a motion.
I had a comment.
Mary had a comment? Okay, well, wait.
Almost.
I just am so excited about this because, it's just the community benefiting from what they give into the community from our sales tax, and it comes right back into the community. And it's just wonderful that the kids are going to have a wonderful new play area for them. And I love stuff like this. I love to see our community grow. I love to see it happy, and it feels really good. And I'm really glad I never had to buy a set like this for my children because it's
Truthful.
too much for me. Thank you, though.
Marty?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, we're ready. I'll make the motion.
I think we are.
Motion to approve the purchase of playground equipment for Bob Edwards Park from Play It Safe Playgrounds via Mojave contract number 14X-Play-0220, quote number 3828 in the amount of $59,917.09 by electronic and voice vote.
I'll second that, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second. Diane, do you want to call the vote?
Mayor Skoog,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory,
Yes, it went away. I don't know why.
Councilmember Nye,
Yes.
and Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. That's unanimous.
Brian, put her together.
Yes,
Good
sir, we
job.
sure
we
will.
appreciate that. Okay, move on to F. Consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 1977, accepting the Governor's Office of Highway Safety contract, number 2017 PT 048 STPEP for enforcement overtime. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council.
And now this one is going to cost us money. This is going to give us money.
Oh, this is great. I come before you tonight to ask you to receive money.
Okay,
It's
that's
a beautiful
awesome.
thing. So this money would be used for
Mayor,
overtime, for related expenses to enhance public safety, in regarding traffic enforcement specifically, aggressive driving, things like that. No match, just free money.
Free money,
thing.
no fiscal impact, unfavorable
Nope.
fiscal. Any comments?
Let's move quickly before they change their mind.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion.
You ready?
I can't do it. My equipment has frozen up. So motion to authorize the mayor or his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution number 1977 accepting the GOHS contract 2017 PT-048 by voice vote and any electronic if there's any left.
I would try to second.
You made a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you call the vote, Diane?
Mayor Skook?
President? Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
That's unanimous. Chief, grab the money.
Thank you.
We'll move on to number G, consideration of authorizing the mayor to sign resolution number 1978, accepting the Governor's Office of Highway Safety 2017 Highway Safety Plan Grant Award 2017 AL 38, DUI, impaired driving reinforcement and enforcement related materials and supply. Chief?
So once again, Mayor, the item in front of you is a grant from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. It's for funding of DUI enforcement and also education. So actually the prior one is also including educational information. So we would go to the schools and try to educate people on the dangers of driving, texting, all those kinds of things. And then the DUI, we'd go and talk to them about that as well. And so I just want to say really quickly, these two grants total about $51,000, a little bit more than $51,000 that they're giving to us with no fiscal impact to the town. There's no match or anything like that. And it's just another example of the wonderful relationship that we have with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. If anybody remembers, about a year ago, we had a traffic car that was involved in an accident, and it was totaled. The insurance payoff we got was minimal. So then we looked at some other things that we were doing operationally in the department. We ended up getting rid of our motor program, our motorcycles, because of the high cost associated with the medical retirements. And so we had these motorcycles, so we ended up selling the motorcycles. So the money we got from the insurance payoff on the car and the motorcycles, we were still about $30,000 short in replacing that vehicle for use in traffic. So I went down to see Alberto Gutierrez at the Office of Highway Safety, and he said, we got a great relationship with Prescott Valley, we value it, so I'll write you the check, and he did. And so we now have that car. We just got it recently. It's a silver Explorer. It's a little bit different than the other ones, kind of blends into the traffic, so everybody be careful out there.
I've seen that.
Yes, I have seen.
Any questions, comments?
Well, I think we could do this all night long, getting these free ones.
You got one more coming up, at least one more, maybe two. Mike?
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to authorize the mayor in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution 1977 accepting the Governor's Office Highway Safety Contract 2017 PT-048 step for enforcement overtime.
That's for DUI.
Look at 5G. Mike?
On G?
That's what's highlighted. G.
Yep. Maybe it's F. They all say that, I think. Nope, I can't go to F.
Not working, huh? How about you, Rick?
We're locked in.
Councilmember Whiting, you made the motion.
Yeah, we're just discussing whether or not it was the correct motion.
Okay. You are on item G.
Item G,
That's
yes.
the one we read. Yep.
Let me read it again. Motion to authorize the mayor in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign resolution 1978 accepting Governor's Office Highway Safety 2017 Highway Safety Plan Grant Award 2017 AL 038 for DUI, impaired driving enforcement and enforcement related materials and supplies.
Okay, that sounds right.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. No, Diane.
We got there.
Mayor Skook, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
Or you want to vote?
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Unanimous. Chief, grabbed all the money you can get.
We'll
We'll go for one more, Chief.
Couple more.
H, consideration of accepting a grant award in the amount of $10,158 from the Arizona Department of Homeland Security and approve the purchase of requested equipment and supplies, contract numbers 160514-01. Chief?
Again, Mayor, Council, the item before you is a Homeland Security grant. Again, there's no match. This is only a partial grant from what we had applied for, but what we were awarded will be used to buy SWAT tactical vests, SWAT tactical helmets, and SWAT medic supplies. Hopefully those will never be needed.
Yeah. I'd be glad to make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to authorize the mayor in his absence, the vice mayor to authorize entry into contract 160514-01 with the Arizona Department of Homeland Security to accept the grant award and approve the purchase of the equipment supplies in its respective amount by whatever, electronic voice, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you call the vote, Diane?
Mayor Skook?
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Unanimous. Great. Chief, go for it. Bring in the money.
All right.
Next one, we got one more. I, consideration of approving entry to contract number 160514-02 with the Arizona Department of Homeland Security to accept $1,432 grant award and approve the expenses toward Prescott Valley Police Department, Yavapai County Terrorism Liaison Officer, TLO, and training project. Chief?
So again, Mayor and Council, this item is a Homeland Security grant. There's no match. And what it is it's for the training of our terrorist liaison officer. Terrorist liaison officer liaisons with multiple agencies throughout the state and federal organizations, primarily through ACTIC, which is the kind of the clearinghouse at the state, and they liaison with federal and different agencies. So what they do is they provide training to our officer to provide him with the awareness and things that he needs to know on how to look at different situations and assess threats and things like that. So he is used, actually, he does different things throughout the year. The most recent that we can all relate to would have been the Donald Trump visit for the presidential rally. Our terrorist liaison officer worked very closely with ACTIC, the Secret Service, Homeland Security, and so forth to make sure that that event was safe.
Good job, Chief. Any comments, questions? Motions?
I was just going to say that I do appreciate you, Chief, and the department, going after these grants and you going down and talking with people down at the state level and just helping our town run very efficiently in regards to the safety. And we always hope that we never have these kind of events come, but what I appreciate is the proactiveness that you're doing so that we'll be ready and we'll be able to help our community.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Any other comments, motions, commotions?
I'll make a motion.
Marty?
I'll make a motion, and of course, it's not coming up. Okay, motion to accept the grant award in the amount of $10,100. That's the wrong one, isn't it?
Yeah, here.
Be on the
All right, never mind, I got it. Okay, motion to approve contract number 160514-02, Arizona Department of Homeland Security to accept the $1,432 grant award and approve the expenses towards the Prescott Valley Police Department, Yavapai County Terrorism Liaison Officer Training Project by electronic and voice votes.
I'll second.
Okay, with a motion and a second. Diane?
Mayor Skook?
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
That is unanimous. Chief, can you believe that?
I can't.
Everybody wants money.
That's amazing.
That was a good job. I really and thank Laura for us too. I know.
I will. Thank you.
She worked a lot of time to put that together.
Tirelessly.
Did a good job, huh?
Thank you.
Thank her for us. Okay, we go on to J. Consideration of approving the purchase of police mobile data unit. Chief?
Mayor and Council, this item, unfortunately, they're not giving to us. We have to buy them. So this time, the money's going to go out. But what this is it allows us to upgrade. For years, we've been operating on the 3G Motorola system on Wi-Fi and modems. 3G does not allow us the connectivity and the speed in order to process and do reports in the field. So ultimately what happens is officers would go, they'd get their dispatch calls and their directions and things like that on their mobile data terminal, but they weren't allowed to type up reports. They were firmly attached inside the cars. So even if they could, they'd have to sit in their car at an odd angle to write reports, which isn't very good from a risk standpoint. And so what happens now is with these mobile data terminals, they're 4G. They're going to be much faster. They're also removable from the vehicle. They'll be checked out at every day to officers as they're going out off a shift. If they get information at a scene, they can actually even go in, depending on what kind of call for service they're on, they can actually go in and sit down and type information into it as they're doing their interviews or getting their information. They can go somewhere else to one of the fire stations. I know 54 has a room for us available, so we can go in there and do our typing. And it will allow us to be much more versatile in performing our job, not having to run back to the station every time to write reports.
Questions, comments, motions, anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to mention this is part of our budget, so it's something that has been previously reviewed and evaluated and submitted as part of the budget. So I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the purchase of police mobile data units in the amount of $78,719.22.
And I'll second that, Mayor.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Diane?
Mayor Skoog?
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mayor.
Chief, can you believe that?
It's a great night. Thank you,
Put her
Mayor.
together. You've done a great job. And thank Laura, too. But
I will. Thank you.
I know she didn't have part of this one, so. Okay, we move on into unscheduled consideration and discussion of comments from the public. Those wishing to address the council need not request permission in advance. Any such remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member thereof. Such remarks shall be limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the mayor. Debbie, you're up. Good to see you, Debbie. Appreciate your coming.
Mayor, Council, Town, I'm Debbie Williams, here to speak about your agenda item 5A. I'm so glad I can speak to this. This morning on the radio, local radio, I heard from a council member, one of our neighbors just to the
suburb
west of us, thank you. And she informed us listeners that as a council person, she puts in 40 to 60 hours a week. And there's no compensation for that, literally, except serve. And my experience with each of you are dedicated, responsible, committed, loyal people. And for me, living here in Prescott Valley, I want to maintain that level of continuity. My visual tonight is this right here. You don't do this in a couple of hours. It takes, I can't even imagine, the legalities, the legislation that goes along with it. It's huge. You can't put a time, you can't put money on this. To keep us safe and legal takes hours. And I don't know where you cap off a price on what you do. All I know is we are growing when we're moving forward as a town. You guys are invaluable. Invaluable. And I'm just here to speak that you would get my full support because it's immeasurable, invaluable. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for putting in the time and the effort. And I know some of you go, not maybe all of you, I'm sure all of you leave town for different committees. And you're right, there's an expense to all of this. and to be connected here in this community, there is an expense. Nothing's free. Nothing. Your service is not free. And I heard some of you underestimate that a little bit, and I appreciate your humbleness. But you're all worth more than you are. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Kirk, any comments? I guess there's no one else to speak, so we'll move on then to number 7. They need a motion to convene into executive session in order to conduct the annual review and evaluation of the performance of the magistrate judge, Keith Carson. The executive session is scheduled pursuant to Arizona Revised Statutes number 38-43103A1, which allows for a discussion or the consideration of employment, assignment, or appointment of the public officer, appointee, or employee. Anyone care to make a motion to move into executive session?
I'll make a motion to move into executive session, Mayor.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Diane?
Mayor Skook?
Yes. Everybody passes?
Unanimous now, Mayor.
Great. We will recess. Let Diane get set up, and we'll recess into executive session.
Man, it's cold.
And Judge, you're going to be up then.